Hi, hello, and welcome back to a podcast where I talk about going from corporate drone to corporate dropout, life as a small business owner and creator. You know it, you love it. Welcome back to Chaos and Fuckery. And today, as always, well, as in the new era of chaos and fuckery, we are talking about the gaming industry. As a fitness coach for gamers, I tend to keep up with gaming, but also just as a regular gamer myself, I keep up with what's going on in gaming news. But I'm going to do something a little bit different than talk about something that's currently going on. I'm going to do an episode on predictions. When this episode releases, we'll be about a week away from the Switch 2 release. And we've had a couple directs and things. We know a few of the games coming with the Switch 2 release. Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I am really interested. I will likely play that almost immediately after getting my Switch 2 because it seems very Super Mario Odyssey but Donkey Kong, and I'm excited for that. We have, the new Mario Kart World, which will be fun. We have, some of the new mechanics with the new Joy-Cons, with the wheelchair basketball game. Anyways, we have a lineup, if you will, of Switch 2 games that are coming within a year of the release. What I noticed is none of those games are fitness games. They're not movement games. Switch 2 seem to be a lot more focused on less of the motion control, less of the movement that the Wii and even the Switch did focus a lot on. Now, this is just launch titles, and a lot of the fitness games didn't get the attention that launch titles do get, obviously. But even with the Wii and the Switch, we had flagship fitness games for both of those properties. For the Wii, we had the Wii Fit and Wii Sports, which got people up and moving and active while playing video games for probably the first time in gaming, because following the Wii, we got the Xbox Kinect and PS Move, and eventually we got things like the PSVR and, virtual reality headsets. But the Switch then kind of took a different direction for a little while. Its kind of flagship fitness game was Ring Fit Adventure. You had attachments this time around that you had to plug your Joy-Cons into and go through this RPG-like fitness game. There are other games that came alongside it that were more similar to that of Wii Fit and Wii Sports. Obviously, we got a Switch Sports adaptation of Wii Sports, but it wasn't as movement heavy as the original Wii Sports. And then we also have things like fitness boxing and rhythm games like Just Dance that have followed across the platforms to date. However, we have zero announcements thus far of what games we might see that are fitness focused in the Switch 2 realm. We don't even really have anything about maybe a DLC for Ring Fit Adventure or an upgrade for a Switch to Switch 2 expansion of Ring Fit Adventure. So I'm going to take this episode and take a look at the industry as it is right now and see what fitness games we might be seeing coming to the Switch 2 as that console launches. We know there's not any coming with the launch, which is upsetting to me, who loves to talk about how the Switch and Wii kind of created a bridge for fitness gaming. And there is a lot of focus being put on fitness games and movement games in the VR realm, but I'm hoping to see more from the Switch because not everyone can handle working out with a headset and the movement. A lot of people get sick, whereas the Switch, not so much. So here are my predictions, and I keep hitting my mic today. Anyways, here are my predictions for the Switch 2. Now, we know the Wii Fit might have taken it a little bit farther than today's people can handle. The Wii Fit was a scale that yelled at you that you were obese even as a small child when you got on it. So having a scale feature, I don't foresee coming back. I do foresee, however, with the Bluetooth scales and things like that, being able to have a adaptable game where you can put in your metrics and have them auto update from your at-home scale. I could see Nintendo doing something like that, but I really don't see them bringing back a scale that tells you if you're obese or overweight or just right ever again. Not in today's culture. I don't foresee that selling well for Nintendo, and that's probably why we never saw a Switch version of Wii Fit. Now, what I could see Nintendo doing, because I do believe Ring Fit is one of their flagship games for the Switch. I could see either a DLC expansion, a port similar to that, what they're doing with, Tears of the Kingdom and Pokemon and things like that, where if you already have it on the Switch, you can get this expansion on the Switch too. I could see something like that coming to Ring Fit Adventure. However, the problem with that is the change in the Joy-Cons. With the new Joy-Cons of the Switch 2, all of your attachments that you currently have for things like Switch Sports and Ring Fit Adventure will not work. Well, not all of them, because one of the attachments for Ring Fit Adventure is a leg strap, and similar to that of the original Switch, you could just you can just stick your little Joy-Con in that strap. I don't think the size difference between the two sets of Joy-Cons are that different that we couldn't utilize the leg strap that is used in both Ring Fit and I believe the soccer component of Switch Sports. So I do believe both of those games will actually be playable on the Switch 2, except for the fact that with Ring Fit Adventure, you have the ring. The ring that makes Ring Fit Adventure, you will not be able to slide in a Joy-Con to the ring. And I have yet to see peripherals like the Switch 2 announcement, where we have the GameCube controller, we have the new camera, we have a couple other peripherals that I'm not really keeping track of when it comes to the Switch 2, but none of them are the ring. We have a wheel for Mario Kart similar to the Wii wheel, but we don't have a ring for Ring Fit. Which says to me, if they are doing a Ring Fit 2 or a Ring Fit DLC, an expansion to bring Ring Fit to the Switch 2, it is not anytime soon. And that is upsetting because that game, I think, helped a lot of people get up and get moving, especially during COVID, myself included. I got back to fitness early in my fitness career, if you will, before I got my certifications and things like that. That game is how I started feeling comfortable enough to go into a gym again. I played it during COVID when there was no real gyms open, and I utilized it to find other fitness games like fitness boxing. So, what is the future of Ring Fit now with the Switch 2? I see them doing a new RPG-like fitness game like that. That would be very silly of Nintendo to not expand upon that technology that they created with Ring Fit, because people came back to that game. People still play that game as workouts. I have found a TikToker not recently, I've been mutuals with her for a long time, that used Ring Fit as her training to lose weight for her engagement party, and I'm assuming soon she'll probably use it again as a piece of content to train for her wedding. I don't know, that's me speculating, but she did definitely use it to fit into a dress for her engagement party. So people are still utilizing Ring Fit every day and not porting something like it or it itself as a DLC or an expansion to the Switch 2 is a market you would lose of people utilizing that console. With the new upgrades, you could do so much more in expanding that world and those characters and, just the game graphics in general, because that wasn't the prettiest game, but it was a useful one. So I foresee Nintendo, prediction number 1, we get some sort of expansion, sequel, DLC for Ring Fit, and we get a new ring that utilizes the new Joy-Cons and some of their new capabilities. Maybe we get a new peripheral altogether and it's a kind of a sequel to the game rather than a DLC. That's prediction number 1 on fitness games in the Switch 2 environment. My prediction number 2, this is a gimme one. I'm almost certain this will come true. We will see a 2025 and 2026 and beyond, for however long we have the Nintendo Switch, version of Just Dance. The Just Dance properties have been coming to consoles like the Switch for eons. They have recently advanced into also utilizing the VR platforms, but I don't foresee Just Dance not supporting their original platform just because they've expanded into VR. I fully expect to see a Just Dance property on the Switch 2, just like we have with the Wii, the Wii U, and the Switch. That is a game I'm almost certain for fitness gaming is a staple around for the foreseeable future. As long as people keep buying the dance games, the games will keep getting made. So that's prediction number 2. Not so far-fetched. I do believe we'll see a Just Dance game somewhere within the first year of the Nintendo Switch launch. Now, the next one is other kind of fitness games. We've seen a lot of different versions of Switch Boxing, and I believe we'll probably see that as a part of the first year with the Switch 2 as well. There's nothing that says you can't play that game currently as you port over to the Switch 2. Because it is just Joy-Cons, there's no special attachments. I do believe that that game will be just fine, and we'll see that one ported over to Switch 2 with future expansions and maybe future songs to play with Switch Boxing. Now, on to my next prediction. This one I've kind of got to think about. I have 3 already that I think we'll see, 2 of which I'm pretty sure about. The first one, I think Nintendo would be a misstep if we don't see. The next one is something we won't see. And this will hurt a lot of people. I don't think we will see a future follow-on version of the sports title. I think Switch Sports that was released on the original Switch is going to be all we ever see. Wii Sports was wildly popular and everyone loved it, but Switch Sports did not receive that same love. And I haven't done it recently, but a few months after its release, I tried to connect and match in games with people, and people weren't playing it as often as, say, the Wii Sports platform, where for years past the release of that game, you could still connect with people. You may even be able to still connect with people online in the Wii Sports arenas today. Because I've seen people recently pulling out their Wii Fits and Wii Sports and losing weight that way. So that is something I don't think we'll see. There's a prediction. I don't think we'll see a new Switch Sports game. Now, the last prediction I am making on fitness games for the Switch 2. I think we will see a port of something like Beat Saber or Fit XR that are currently on the VR platforms specifically for the Switch. Maybe we get Beat Saber. We get Guitar Hero, but with motion for the Switch 2. I believe the Switch 2 has the computing capacity to handle a game like that, whereas the original Switch did not. And if we see a motion game, I do believe it'll be something with rhythm and beats similar to that of, punching game like fitness boxing, but more fun. Right? You don't feel like you're working out. Maybe it is a Beat Saber non-VR port. Or we see a more fitness focused, similar to that of the Switch, where you got Switch Zumba. Maybe you'll see that with Switch 2, but something like Fit XR, where it is a wide variety of different workout classrooms that you can use. I guess that's almost like 2 different predictions. I think we'll see either a copy of Beat Saber, where it is like Guitar Hero, but motion on the Switch. And then the next prediction would be, I think we're going to see more of a traditional fitness style game, whether it be another Zumba game or something like Fit XR and Supernatural, where you have all of the different types of gyms, Pilates, Zumba, boxing, combat, whatever it is that you're interested in, that you can just load up and play in a freestyle play environment and compete against others. Similar to that of Just Dance going to VR, I see some of the VR games coming to not VR. As these studios are learning, VR is a very niche group of people who want to do fitness in game, whereas Switch not only is not as cost heavy, well, it didn't used to be as cost heavy as buying a VR headset. Now it is about the same, to be honest, but advancing into the market where you can cover both people that can't handle working out with a VR headset and people that can is important, and I do foresee that happening with the Switch 2 with the upgraded hardware of the Switch 2 console. Those are kind of my gaming and fitness predictions with the Switch 2. Now, do I see, the fitness gaming industry changing with the Switch 2? No, I don't really see much new inventions, if you will. I don't see a revolutionary thing like Wii Fit or Ring Fit coming specifically to the Switch 2. I think more studios who are thinking about fitness gaming are thinking about VR. I think VR will change the fitness industry in a way that they are not ready for. With the invention of things like AI trainers, I fully believe that people are going to be looking more for connection out of online coaches that they just aren't getting through an app. So something like a VR meeting platform for coaches to meet with their clients and discuss things in private, still with the privacy of not interacting with other clients, but being able to interact in the community with each other as well as with your coach as if you were in a gym, is going to be something that we might see come to a VR platform within the next year or two. I don't foresee something like that coming with, the new camera on the Switch 2. Could you do something like that with the new chat feature that's basically like Discord for Nintendo? Yes, but I don't see it really happening that way. If anything changes the space of my business currently, it's going to be VR and maybe AR, because I know a lot of people who can't handle VR don't do as bad with augmented reality. But I think for VR and AR to really take over the business space, the fitness space, whatever spaces that they're trying to bump their heads into, the headsets need to get smaller and more comfortable to wear. As someone who does test a lot of VR fitness games, you don't want to be playing something like Just Dance with a headset on your face that weighs 5 pounds. I struggle to play Just Dance VR. While I prefer it from a user perspective, from a leaderboard perspective, I think it's more fun than the original game on the Switch. I don't love dancing around my living room with a headset on my face. I can do it, but I don't love it. I think we need to take the Dance City vibe of Just Dance in VR and bring that to the console world that is more user-friendly, if you will, for not having to get motion sick while trying to work out. That is my biggest concern with, fitness gaming in being focused on the VR space and not so much in the Nintendo space, because Nintendo is really the only console that still has an active motion-based gaming community. Kinect kind of died off in later years after the Wii, as did the PS Motion kind of sensors. The PlayStation VR is really only for people who didn't want to buy a separate console. It is not as convenient as something like the Oculus. It's still very clunky. So I don't know that console VR is really the answer either. Separate standalone headsets are the only way we get into fitness gaming advancement and maybe VR taking over in the fitness industry. However, I would love to see Nintendo put more focus in their fitness games, especially as more and more people have weight issues and less people feel comfortable in the gym. Fitness gaming is a great barrier, like a great starting point to break that barrier of entry into I have gym anxiety. I'm scared to be in the gym. I don't know what I'm doing. Because games like Ring Fit that truly teach you movement, right? You have to squat, you have to do yoga poses, you have to do planks. You can see all these different movements to where if a coach gave you that information, you would know what those moves were. And you don't feel as intimidated going back into the gym. You learn a little bit about nutrition and taking breaks and setting goals for yourself through that game that I think is a great starting point for people who have never really been active in fitness before they enter the gym. And Nintendo, being the last remaining gaming console that has motion-based games, should really put their money there, because people can buy a console and buy a game once and use it repetitively, whereas maybe they don't have the money to afford a $50 to $100 gym. So it opens up a barrier that some people may have when it comes to fitness and being healthy that I want more attention on. As a gamer, as a fitness enthusiast, as a fitness influencer, I am not an influencer. Don't be influenced by me. As a fitness coach, I would love to see more fitness games come out. and get the popularity of something like, you know, the Mario properties and see them at a Nintendo Direct in the future. I would like to see those motion games for fitness purposes up front and center, not just for gaming. But those are my 6, 7, I lost count. Those are my predictions for fitness games we might see coming or might not see coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 as it launches here in just a little bit. And I'm curious to know, for those of you who have played fitness games in the past or have an interest in fitness games, if you will, what games do you want to see come to the Switch 2? But also, what games do you think are coming to the Switch 2? Are they done with fitness-based games for Nintendo and everyone's jumping ship to VR? Or do you think we'll see Nintendo versions of some of our favorite VR games like Beat Saber? Let me know in the comments below. And I am here for all of the chaos that comes with fitness gaming, as well as some of the fuckery, as much as it annoys me sometimes. But I appreciate you for being here, and I hope you come and join us along in the chaos and fuckery of going from corporate drone to corporate dropout.